Chapter 4084. All the plants in the forest seemed to have come alive. They turned into terrifying monsters and charged towards the tall and sturdy demon. Illusory realm, break! The tall and sturdy demon roared and clawed at the trees, causing them to explode. An illusion array, break! Don't even think about trapping me. Break, 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 break! The tall and sturdy demon roared crazily, as if he had turned into a wild beast. Wherever he went, rocks would fly and huge craters would appear on the ground. At that moment, Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei had already left the forest and appeared on the other side. They weren't affected by the illusion array at all. Lu Ming was astonished. This illusion array was set up by an expert from the Heavenly Palace. It won't be able to stop that demon for long. Let's hurry up and leave this place. Come with me. Ling Yuwei hurriedly explained and then flew in a certain direction. Lu Ming followed closely behind. Not long after, they appeared hundreds of thousands of li away and arrived at a secret place. At that moment, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. At that moment, Lu Ming's injuries were almost healed. He couldn't see the slightest wound on his body anymore. Besides, he realized that his cultivation level had increased by a lot. The battle with the tall and sturdy demon before had been very dangerous. Lu Ming had been seriously injured. His life had been threatened, and his potential had been stimulated. The potential in his cells had been stimulated unceasingly. Now, his cultivation level had taken a huge step forward. He wasn't too far away from the fifth godly emperor layer. Even though this battle had been difficult, he had also gained a lot. If he had cultivated step by step, he didn't know how long it would have taken him to obtain these gains. Why are you here? Also, what's going on in this area? Why haven't I met anyone from the Heavenly Palace, only demons? Immediately, Lu Ming asked curiously. He had a lot of questions in his heart. This time, I came out to investigate the movements of the demons. I didn't expect that I would run into you being chased by Luoshe. Luoshe is the name of that demon just now. As for this area, the situation is very bad. Not only this area, but the situation in a large number of nearby areas is very bad because there is an extremely terrifying monster on the demon's side. Ling Yuwei explained. She seemed to have thought of something and her expression was very serious. An extremely terrifying demon, even more powerful than that Luoshe? Lu Ming asked. Indeed, he's not just a little bit stronger, he's much stronger. That demon has the strength of the sixth godly emperor layer, and is also a cultivator of the fifth godly emperor layer. He can defeat cultivators who are 5 levels stronger than him, Ling Yuwei said. What? Lu Ming's expression also changed greatly. A cultivator of the sixth godly emperor layer could fight cultivators who were 5 cultivation layers higher than him. That was terrifying. Luoshe could easily kill such a cultivator. Who would have thought that there would be such a terrifying existence among the demons? This abyssal should be the strongest of the chosen abyssal geniuses that participated in this war. During this period of time, he has swept through a large area. A massive number of chosen from the Heavenly Palace have died at his hands. There is simply no way for them to contend with him. The other demons gathered around him. With him as the core, they swept through a large area. That Luoshe is one of the strongest helpers of that demon. Ling Yuwei said. Does that mean that in this large area, the people of the Heavenly Palace have been killed? Lu Ming's expression became heavier. If that was the case, the Heavenly Palace would be in danger this time. No, there are still many survivors in the Heavenly Palace. It's all thanks to a demon from the world turtle. That demon has a strong cultivation base and is also very strong in rune formations. Although he's not as good as Dandan, he's not much worse. During this time, it's all thanks to the formation of this demon from the world turtle that the survivors in the Heavenly Palace were able to survive and escape the pursuit of the demons. The illusion formation was also set up by the demon from the world turtle so that the people in the Heavenly Palace could avoid the demon's pursuit. Lu Ming understood that the illusion array in the forest previously was set up by the demon of the world's divine turtle. Now, the survivors in the Heavenly Palace were hiding in a formation set up by the demon from the world turtle to avoid the demon's pursuit. However, The situation was very critical because this temporary planet was only so big. Sooner or later, they would be found. At that time, no one would be able to contend against the strongest demon prodigy. The heavenly palace would also be defeated. Now, more than half of the temporary planet is controlled by these demons. There are demons everywhere chasing after the people of the heavenly palace. It's very dangerous. Let's go back to the heavenly palace's place of residence first. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded and did not object. Now, more than half of the temporary planet had been swept away by the demons. There were almost no people from the heavenly palace. It was very dangerous for him to barge in alone. This was because, on the demon's side, other than the strongest demon, there was more than one demon at the level of Luosha. The two of them left this place, restrained their auras, and carefully headed in a direction. During this time, they met a team of demons. This team of demons did not have any terrifying prodigies, but the two of them did not make a move. Who knew if there were any terrifying demons like Luosha nearby? If they made a move and attracted such demons, it would be troublesome. Even if the two of them joined forces, they would not be able to defeat an existence like Luosha. After bypassing the team of demons, about 2 hours later, Lu Ming and company arrived at an ordinary rocky area. This area looked no different from other areas. There were messy rocks everywhere, and there was not a single living being. This is it. This place is covered by a large illusion array. It looks ordinary, but in fact, the survivors of the heavenly palace are all inside. After Ling Yue finished speaking, she took out 2 jade tokens and handed one to Lu Ming. Then, the two of them flew forward. The jade tokens in their hands glowed with a ray of multicolored light and resonated with the array formation. In the next moment, ripples appeared in the void, and the two of them disappeared from their original spot. If one did not have that kind of jade token, one would not be able to enter the illusion array here. Even if one flew past this area, they would not be able to enter the illusion array. It had to be said that this illusion array was very mysterious. As soon as they entered the illusion array, the scene before them changed. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and saw many figures. This place was filled with protruding rocks. On the rocks, in 2s and 3s, they were all the prodigies of the heavenly palace. About 500 people. Lu Ming's heart sank. According to Ling Yue, more than half of the heavenly palace's prodigies on the temporary planet were gathered here. On the heavenly palace's side, there were a total of 3,000 people participating in the battle. On average, there were about 1,500 people on more than half of the temporary planet. But now, there were only 500 people. Chapter 4085. Out of 1,500 people, only 500 or so were left. In other words, over 1,000 geniuses from the heavenly palace had died at the hands of the demons. This was a huge loss, and it was very unfavorable for the heavenly palace in the following battle. The arrival of Lu Ming and Ling Yue immediately attracted the attention of many people. That seems to be Mu Yun. That's right, it's said that he's Ling Yue's fiancé. I didn't expect Ling Yue to bring him along when she went out this time. I thought he died at the hands of the demons. I heard that Mu Yun's battle strength is extremely strong. I wonder if he can help us. No matter how strong he is, can he be stronger than that demon? Sigh. Many people sighed, and some people had despair in their eyes. Mu Yun. At this moment, a voice rang out, and a figure flew over. It was the battle god Yuan Wen. Brother battle god. Lu Ming greeted him with a smile. After not seeing him for a while, the battle god Yuan Wen's cultivation had also improved greatly. He had actually reached the peak of the 3rd divine emperor realm. It seemed that he had also gained a lot in the fortune tower. With the battle god Yuan Wen's battle strength, his cultivation was at the 3rd divine emperor realm, and he was able to match the 8th divine emperor realm, and even defeat the other party. The two of them could be said to have gotten to know each other after a fight, and there was a sense of appreciation for each other. Brother Mu, your cultivation is 1 level higher than mine, and you're in front of me again. I originally wanted to spar with you, but it seems that I can only do it next time. The battle god Yuan Wen smiled, his eyes burning with a strong fighting spirit. Although he was in a dangerous situation, he was still not discouraged, and had a strong fighting spirit. Suddenly, Lu Ming looked ahead. Swish, 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 in the void in front of him, there were a few light figures, constantly flickering, and at the same time, runes filled the air. Those light figures were clearly a few figures. With Lu Ming's eyesight, he naturally saw very clearly that there were 3 figures, and Lu Ming felt that each of these 3 figures was extremely strong. It gave off a feeling that it was not weaker than the Luo Shi. One of them is from the Angel clan, one is from the Demon clan, and one is from the World Godly Turtle. They're all candidates for the universe's Young Geniuses list, and they all have the strength of the 6th Godly Emperor layer. They're the 3 strongest people left in the Heavenly Palace. They're not weaker than Luo Shi. Recently, they've been practicing a joint attack technique. They hope to be able to contend against the strongest genius of the demons. Ling Yuwei explained. Can a joint attack really contend against the strongest prodigy of the fiends? Lu Ming expressed his doubts. These 3 people's abilities were similar to Luo Shi's, and they were all candidates for the Universe Genius list. They should be geniuses who could fight across 4 levels. However, the strongest prodigy of the demons was able to fight across 5 levels. If their cultivation levels were the same, their combat prowess would differ by an entire level. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, it was impossible to fight across a level. There's no other way. This time, those who participate in the battle are all people under 50,000 years old. The highest cultivation level is only the 6th Godly Emperor layer. They're almost the highest among the participants this time. Other than them, the others can't compete with the strongest genius of the fiend. And according to Dong Yuanqing, once he's proficient in his joint attack technique, the 3 of them can still fight against the fiends for a few dozen moves. In this way, the others can take the opportunity to escape. It's better than being completely crushed. Ling Yuwei explained. Dong Yuanqing was the name of the World Godly Turtle monster. If the 3 of them join forces to deal with the strongest genius of the fiends, then, who will deal with the other geniuses of the fiends, such as the Luo Shi? Lu Ming immediately thought of this question. The faces of the battle god and Yuan Wen immediately darkened. There's no other way. The battle god shook his head. Of course, they had thought of this question. But what could they do about it? The strongest genius of the fiends was too strong. On the side of the Heavenly Palace, no one could fight against him alone. They could only gather more people to barely fight against him. But the fiends were a level lower, so no one could deal with them. On the side of the Heavenly Palace, it was extremely difficult. Damn it, unfortunately, my cultivation level is too low. If I had the cultivation level of the 6th Godly Emperor layer, I wouldn't have let that fiends run wild. The battle god gnashed his teeth. At the same level, he didn't fear the strongest genius of the fiends. Unfortunately, his cultivation level was too low. He was 3 levels lower than his opponent. At the same time, he looked at Lu Ming. He knew Lu Ming's fighting strength. At the same level, Lu Ming wasn't weaker than him. Unfortunately, Lu Ming's cultivation level wasn't enough. On the side of the Heavenly Palace, the 2 of them could fight across 5 levels if they were at the same level. Unfortunately, their cultivation levels were too low. They couldn't reverse the situation. While they were chatting, the 3 top geniuses in the sky stopped and gathered together to discuss something. Then, they continued to practice their joint attack technique. As they practiced, a tortoise shell floated in the air. It was filled with an ancient aura. At this time, Dong Yuanqing and the other 2 stopped practicing again. This time, they smiled with satisfaction. It seemed that they had made good progress. Then, the 3 of them landed on 3 cliffs and sat down to meditate. Lu Ming and the others continued to chat. In the process of chatting, Lu Ming's body was still recovering on its own. He was getting closer to his peak state. About 2 hours later, at this time, a young man in a white robe landed beside the Angel Race's candidate on the Universe Genius list and whispered a few words. Shua. The Angel Race candidate on the Universe Prodigy list looked in Lu Ming's direction with a sharp gaze. His gaze was like lightning. Lu Ming sensed it instantly. Lu Ming's gaze also looked in that direction. Bu Nan. Ling Yue's expression changed slightly. This Bu Nan was the name of the angel race's candidate on the Universe Genius list. He was also one of the people who had practiced the joint attack technique with Dong Yuanqing. He was a 6th-level godly emperor. Shua. Bu Nan stood up, took a step in the air, and appeared above Lu Ming and the others. He looked down at Lu Ming and the others with a cold aura. He didn't hide his hostility at all. Many people's gazes turned to look at him. I heard that Mu Yun once challenged Gabbert and made a 1,000-year promise. He has a grudge with the angel race. Many of them want to teach Mu Yun a lesson and curry favor with Gabbert. Bu Nan is going to make a move too. Is he also going to curry favor with Gabbert? Many people were discussing. Mu Yun, I didn't expect you to live until now. Very good, you can fulfill one of my wishes. Bu Nan said coldly. What does your wish have to do with me? Lu Ming said indifferently, his expression still calm. I once owed Gabbert a favor. This favor must be returned. Now, kneel down and apologize to Gabbert in public. Then, slap yourself 30 times. I will record it with the Dream Godly Jade and send it to Gabbert. It can be considered returning the favor. Bu Nan's voice was cold and unquestionable. Chapter 4086. Brennan's tone was indisputable. His body was covered in holy light, and his eyes were as sharp as swords as he stared at Lu Ming. Haha. Lu Ming sneered. These angels were always acting all high and mighty, as if they were going to eat him up. Laffit and the others were like that previously. Now, they were already dead souls under his hands. And now, it was the same with Brennan's behavior. Did he really think that he was very powerful? Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with him. There must be something wrong with your brain. Lu Ming curled his lips. Very well, I knew that you wouldn't give in so easily. Then, I'll beat you until you give in, Brennan said coldly. His voice was even colder. Before he finished speaking, a pure white light emitted from Brennan's glabella. A cross of holy light flew out from his glabella. After the cross of holy light left Brennan's glabella, it quickly expanded and pressed down on Lu Ming like a mountain. He attacked as he pleased. It was very domineering. Angels. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. These angels were really persistent. They seized the opportunity to deal with him. And this was after he challenged Gabbert. It could be considered as offending Gabbert. If the angels knew that Laffit and dozens of other prodigies died in his hands, he wondered how they would react. They would probably go crazy. Lu Ming's body dashed upward and he threw a punch out. Boom. The punch landed in the middle of the cross of holy light, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. The cross of holy light exploded and turned into light spots that dissipated in the air. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he took 3 consecutive steps back. Brennan grunted softly. He raised his eyebrows, looking a little surprised that Lu Ming could block his attack. You have some strength. No wonder you're so arrogant. But you're still far from being arrogant in front of me. Brennan's voice became even colder. Whoosh. The holy light on his body became even more intense. Pairs of angel wings stretched out from his back. There were a total of 6 pairs, 11 angel wings. This was a 12-winged angel. Among the angels, they were extremely rare 12-winged angels. The battle prowess and talent of the angels could be deduced from the number of wings they had. 8-winged angels could fight opponents 2 levels higher than them in the Divine Emperor realm. In the Divine Emperor realm, a 10-winged angel could fight someone who was 3 levels higher. A 12-winged angel, on the other hand, could fight someone who was 4 levels above them. In other words, as long as it was a 12-winged angel, it would be one of the candidates for the Universe Prodigy list. In the future, it would have a chance to enter the Universe Prodigy list. The 12 wings were as white as snow. Holy light soared into the sky. Bu Nan's aura rose to the peak. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. If you don't kneel, then I'll beat you until you kneel. Bu Nan said coldly. He raised his hand, and the vast holy light once again turned into a cross-shaped holy light, pressing down on Lu Ming. This time, the cross-shaped holy light was much stronger than the previous one. The vast pressure rushed toward Lu Ming like a tide. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. All the cells in his body trembled. He activated all his secret techniques, and his body emitted a dazzling glow. Break it. Lu Ming let out a long howl and threw a punch. Lu Ming used all his strength in this punch, pushing his battle prowess to the peak. Boom! The two terrifying forces collided, causing the sky and earth to tremble violently. Fortunately, there was a formation guarding this place. Otherwise, it would have caused a terrifying commotion. However, many people's faces changed. They were afraid that the formation would be broken by the aftermath of the battle and attract the demons. In addition, many people were even more shocked by Lu Ming's battle prowess. Many people's eyes were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming dared to confront Bu Nan head-on, and he could release such terrifying waves of energy. This meant that Lu Ming's battle prowess was also very shocking. He wouldn't be crushed one-sidedly. He could hold his own for a short while. Whoosh! A figure retreated rapidly. It was Lu Ming. He smashed a big pit in the ground. His face was a little pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Bu Nan's battle prowess was not weaker than the demon prodigy Luo Shi. Although Lu Ming blocked it, he was still injured. However, everyone was even more shocked. Lu Ming withstood Bu Nan's attack and only suffered minor injuries. His battle prowess was far beyond everyone's imagination. Among the geniuses of the Heavenly Palace, he was definitely one of the top fighters. Bu Nan frowned, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He had used all his strength, but he couldn't make Lu Ming kneel. He only made Lu Ming suffer some minor injuries. This made him very dissatisfied. He was a 12-winged angel of the Angel Clan. What kind of status did he have? You're courting death. A cold voice came out. Bu Nan attacked again. This time, a pure white feather flew out from his body and turned into a holy light sword. The sword light rushed into the sky and slashed violently at Lu Ming. The power of this attack was even more shocking. Swish! At this moment, an arrow shot out. Its speed was extremely fast, as if it had pierced through the void. In a flash, it hit the holy light sword. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The arrow exploded, but the holy light sword also trembled violently, and its light dimmed a lot. At the same time, Lu Ming soared into the sky and attacked with all his strength. Another boom rang out. Lu Ming's body flew back and smashed into the ground. However, the holy light sword also exploded. Ling Yue, you want to interfere too? Bu Nan's expression became even more gloomy. He coldly looked at Ling Yue. What do you think? Ling Yue drew her battle bow, and an arrow continued to condense, aiming at Bu Nan. At the same time, Lu Ming's body was enveloped in a dazzling light, and his battle intent soared. Swish! A halberd also condensed in the battle god Yuanwen's hand. The halberd was pointed at Bu Nan, and the meaning was self-evident. Their figures flickered, and a few geniuses of the Battle Saint tribe also came to the side of the battle god Yuanwen, staring at Bu Nan. Battle Saint tribe, you guys also want to make a move? Good, very good. Then let's deal with all of you in one go. Bu Nan coldly spoke, his killing intent as sharp as a blade. His aura grew even stronger. Numerous cross-shaped divine swords floated in the air, and there were a total of 12 of them. Hold on, Bu Nan. With a light shout, an honest-looking young man stepped through the air. This young man was none other than the genius of the world turtle race, Dong Yuanqing. Right now, our common enemy is the devil. The devil hasn't arrived yet, so we can't kill each other and damage our strength. Dong Yuanqing said. Killing a few trash won't affect our strength. Don't worry. Bu Nan said. Oh, let's give it a try then. Lu Ming coldly laughed. Courting death. Bu Nan's eyes turned cold, and his sword chi soared into the sky. Hold on. A figure appeared before Bu Nan. It was the peak demon-level genius of the devil race. Chapter 4087. The top genius of the demon clan, one of the candidates of the Universe Young Geniuses list, stood in front of Bu Nan, preventing him from making a move. You can't make a move. If you cause too much of a commotion and break through the restrictions of the formation and attract demons, we'll all die. If you want to die, don't drag us down with you. said the genius of the demon clan coldly. His entire body was covered by demon chi. Obviously, he wanted to stop Bu Yunnan from making a move. He didn't want to help Lu Ming. However, if Lu Ming and Bu Yunnan fought, it might lead to very bad consequences. First, Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei's fighting strength was astonishing. In the Heavenly Palace, they were definitely the top fighting strength. If they died in Bu Yunnan's hands, it would undoubtedly weaken the fighting strength of the Heavenly Palace. Second, their fighting strength was too strong. Bu Yunnan couldn't kill them instantly. If he couldn't kill them instantly, the battle between the two sides would be very intense. If the fluctuations broke through the restrictions of the formation and attracted demons, they would all be in danger. Because of these 2 days, the genius of the demon clan had made a move to stop them. Dong Yuanqing also had the same idea. Bu Yunnan's face was gloomy. However, with the intervention of the genius of the demon clan and Dong Yuanqing, he definitely couldn't touch Lu Ming. Besides, how could he not know the 2 points from before? He was also very afraid. When he made a move before, he didn't expect Lu Ming to be so difficult to deal with. Later, he couldn't pull his face down, so he forced himself to make a move. Now that there was a way out, he naturally had to follow the way out. Mu Yun, this time, for the sake of brother Dong Yuanqing and brother Ni, I'll spare you for the time being. After this battle with the demons, I'll make you pay the price, said Bu Yunnan coldly. Ha ha. Lu Ming smiled disdainfully. Bu Yunnan thought that he was very strong. At most, his cultivation level was higher than his by 2 levels. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation level was close to the 5th godly emperor layer. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he broke through to the 5th godly emperor layer. Once Lu Ming broke through to the 5th godly emperor layer, their fighting strength would be completely reversed. At that time, who would have to pay the price? Seeing Lu Ming's disdainful smile, Bu Yunnan's eyes flashed with murderous intent as his chest heaved up and down. He really wished he could immediately make a move and kill Lu Ming in one move. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it. With a gloomy face, Bu Yunnan turned around and left, returning to the rock to rest. The demon prodigy was expressionless as he stepped into the air and left. As for Dong Yuanqing, he gave Lu Ming a kind smile and turned to leave. Mu Yun's strength has actually reached this level. Even Bu Yunnan can't do anything to him. That's right, I remember that when the matter between him and Ling Yuwei was in an uproar, his cultivation was only at the Divine Lord realm, and he could only compete with those quasi-emperors. So quickly, his strength is already able to show off in the Divine Emperor realm. This is absolutely astonishing. I didn't pay much attention to him back then, thinking that he could only show off his might in the Divine Lord realm. I didn't expect that his strength would surpass mine so quickly. Many people were secretly discussing and marveling at Lu Ming's strength. The main reason was that Lu Ming's rise was too short. Back then, the matter between Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei had caused an uproar. Many quasi-emperor level prodigies had gone to the Iron Sea Starfield group to challenge Lu Ming, attracting the attention of many people. But how long had it been since that time? Lu Ming had grown to this extent. It was truly astonishing. At the same time, they thought of Ling Yuwei. Ling Yuwei's speed of improvement was similarly astonishing. If they continued to grow at this speed, there was a high chance that they would truly step into the universe prodigy list in the future. Hearing everyone's discussion, Bu Yunnan felt even more unhappy. It was as if he was the one who set off Lu Ming. Lu Ming used him as a stepping stone to boost his reputation. Bu Yunnan, adjust your mentality. We still have to cultivate the joint attack technique later. This is related to our own lives. As long as we defeat the demon, after we leave, wouldn't that Mu Yun be at your mercy? The demon prodigy sent a voice transmission to Bu Yunnan. Bu Yunnan took a deep breath and slowly calmed himself down. After a period of time, Dong Yuanqing, Bu Yunnan, and the demon prodigy continued to practice the joint attack technique. The joint attack technique was very mysterious. It was a secret technique of the world's divine turtle race. It wasn't easy to cultivate and required constant practice to familiarize oneself with it. In the blink of an eye, it had already been 3 days since Lu Ming arrived. In these 3 days, The Heavenly Palace would constantly send people out to investigate the situation outside. However, many people were sent out and few returned. Obviously, it was very dangerous to go out and investigate. Those who went out to investigate were mostly doomed. Especially on the third day, not a single one of the 8 people sent out returned. This made everyone's hearts very heavy. They had a bad premonition, as if a storm was about to come. The heavy pressure made it difficult for everyone to breathe. Rumble. Suddenly, heaven and earth shook violently. It was as if the entire world was shaking violently. The sky was shaking, and the earth was rumbling. Everyone's expression changed drastically. What's going on? Could it be that the demon found this place? Exclamations sounded one after another. Crack. Suddenly, the sound of porcelain shattering could be heard in the sky. Then, a crack suddenly appeared in the sky. As soon as the crack appeared, it quickly expanded. Swoosh, swoosh. Figures began to emerge from the cracks. Demons. All of them were demons. There were at least 1,000 of them densely packed together. The demons are here. That's Eugene, the demon prodigy Eugene, someone exclaimed with a pale face. The leader of the demons was very eye-catching. This was because this demon looked very similar to a human. He was burly and wore red battle armor. He had a head of fiery red hair that fluttered in the wind like a dancing flame. He held a demonic saber in his hand. This demonic saber was different from the other demonic sabers. It was fiery red and had demonic flames dancing on it. Eugene. Lu Ming had heard this name more than once during this period of time. Because of Eugene, the balance between the demons and the Heavenly Palace had been broken. The demons had gained the upper hand. He was the strongest genius of the demons who had participated in this battle. He had the strength of the 6th godly Emperor Leia. He was a peerless genius who could fight against cultivators who were 5 cultivation levels higher than him. The Heavenly Palace was in a state of chaos. Kill all the bastards of the Heavenly Palace. Victory will be ours. Eugene waved his demonic saber. Die. Kill all the bastards of the Heavenly Palace. Die. Shouted the other demons. They moved like lightning and threw themselves at the people of the Heavenly Palace. His speed was extremely fast. Before his figure had even reached them, a series of terrifying attacks had already rolled towards the people of the Heavenly Palace in an overwhelming manner. Fight them to the death. Fight to the death. Shouted the battle god, Yuan Wen, and the others of the Battle Saint tribe. The other people of the Heavenly Palace also attacked the demons with their full strength. Chapter 4088. The people of the Heavenly Palace had no choice but to fight back. They couldn't just sit there and wait for death. Boom, boom, boom. The attacks from both sides collided in the air. Terrifying shockwaves swept out in all directions, tearing the earth and the void apart. The formation that covered the area was also torn to pieces by the violent shockwaves. After a wave of attacks, the two sides collided. Instantly, horrible shrieks filled the air. Many people had already died when they collided. Without a doubt, the people of the Heavenly Palace were at a complete disadvantage. As soon as the battle started, Eugene looked at Dong Yuan, Qing Bi Yunan and the others. Dong Yuan Qing and the other 2 began to execute a mystical footwork. Their figures flickered continuously, forming a mystical trajectory, as if they were executing a joint attack. Swoosh! A beam of godly light shot out from between them and killed 2 of the young geniuses. A cultivator of the 6th godly Emperor Leia, who could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him, coughed up blood and was blown away. Joint attack. Interesting. Eugene revealed a look of curiosity as he stepped forward. His violent aura was like an erupting volcano. Nobody dared get close to Eugene, including the demons. Move aside and deal with the others. I'll deal with those 3, said Eugene coldly. He then moved towards Dong Yuan Qing and the others. Swoosh! The demonic saber in his hand rapidly grew in size as he slashed out at Dong Yuan Qing and the other 2 with a shocking might. How terrifying! Ordinary cultivators of the 9th godly Emperor Leia couldn't withstand a single attack from him. They would all be killed instantly. He was relying on his own strength, He wasn't using a powerful weapon. The demon blade in Eugene's hand was condensed from his demon chi. "It's Eugene. Stop him!" shouted Dong Yuanqing. The three geniuses used their full strength to launch a joint attack. Dazzling godly lights filled the air and an ancient turtle shell appeared in the sky. Boom! The fiery red demonic saber struck the ancient tortoise shell, causing it to vibrate violently. Catcher! The tortoise shell continued to vibrate, and in the end, it emitted a cracking sound. It was covered with numerous cracks, and in the end, it exploded with a bang. However, that demonic saber was also blocked. Dong Yuanqing and the other two were overjoyed. They had managed to block Eugene's attack. "It's effective. The combined attack can block his attack. Great." Dong Yuanqing and the other two heaved a sigh of relief. Before the battle with Eugene, they were not confident at all. Now, he finally had some confidence. "Retreat. Everyone, retreat to the eastern valley. We'll bring up the rear." Then, Dong Yuanqing roared. "Retreat. Let's go." The people from the heavenly palace shouted and wanted to retreat to the east. However, how could the demons allow them to retreat? "Kill. Don't let any of them go. They're all delicious. I swallowed 2 raw a few days ago. It was so delicious." The numerous abyssal geniuses roared as they charged forward with unstoppable momentum. In particular, there were a few demons who were simply too strong. They were on the same level as Dong Yuanqing and Bi Yunan. Among them, Luo Shu, who had fought with Lu Ming previously, was among them. These demons were unstoppable. No one could defeat them. Poof! A genius from the heavenly palace had his head crushed by Luo Shu's claw. Red and white matter splattered everywhere. Then, he took a step forward and crushed a genius from the heavenly palace. His eyes were ferocious as he glanced around. Then, his gaze fell on Lu Ming. "Boy, you ran away last time. Let's see where you can run this time." Luo Shu roared. He was very excited and his burly body rushed towards Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch and a genius of the 4th godly emperor layer was smashed to pieces. He died on the spot. "You came at the right time. Let's fight again." Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. He was fearless as he rushed towards Luo Shu. The two of them were like 2 meteorites as they collided with each other. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion and Lu Ming was pushed back. However, Luo Shu's attack was also blocked. Mu Yun is attacking. He's going to fight Luo Shu. Let's retreat. When the geniuses from the heavenly palace saw that Lu Ming had blocked Luo Shu, they were overjoyed. They looked at Lu Ming gratefully and then ran towards the east. "Die, die, die," shouted Luo Shu furiously. His eyes were filled with murder as he threw himself at Lu Ming. His gigantic demon claws were as big as a small mountain. Lu Ming let out a long howl. His entire body was shrouded in dazzling rays of light. He pushed his combat ability to the peak as he fought with the Luo corpse. Lu Ming didn't fight against Luo Shu because he wanted to save other people. He wanted to use Luo Shu's strength to stimulate his potential and break through to the 5th godly emperor layer as soon as possible. The heavenly palace's situation was becoming more and more dangerous. They couldn't defeat the demons. If things went on like this, the heavenly palace would really be defeated in this confrontation. If the lips died, the teeth would be cold. If the heavenly palace was defeated, he would also be in danger. He had a strong sense of crisis. He had to break through quickly. Only by breaking through to the 5th godly emperor layer could he protect himself. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. He wanted to use Luo Shu's strength to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer as soon as possible. Lu Ming and Luo Shu had an intense battle. The two of them fought fiercely. It was very tragic. Just like last time, Lu Ming was still not a match for him. He was completely suppressed. After a dozen moves, his hands were covered in blood and flesh. Mu Yun. Not far away, Ling Yu Wei looked worried. She wanted to draw her bow and help Lu Ming. "Don't worry about me. Let me do it myself." Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Ling Yu Wei. His eyes were filled with determination as he continued to fight Luo Shu. As for Ling Yu Wei, She could only draw her bow and shoot at another terrifying demon genius, blocking that person. You're courting death. The other demon genius was at the same level as Luo Shi. He stared at Ling Yuwei and attacked her. However, Ling Yuwei quickly retreated, not allowing her opponent to get close. She continued to draw her bow and shoot. Ling Yuwei was a long-range attacker. Only by distancing herself would she be able to unleash her strongest power. Furthermore, her speed was very fast. That demon wouldn't be able to catch up to her in a short period of time. Just like that, this powerful demon was restrained by Ling Yuwei for a short period of time. This way, the pressure on the Heavenly Palace's side was slightly reduced, allowing more people to rush towards the east. In the east, there was a canyon. Dong Yuanqing had already set up a formation there. It could be considered a formation within a formation, used to escape and move. Even so, the battle was still incomparably tragic. On the side of the Heavenly Palace, people were constantly falling. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had already endured dozens of attacks from Luo Shi. His injuries were very serious. His entire body was tattered, his bones were broken, and his flesh and blood were flying everywhere. It was a tragic sight. In the sky, the most important battle was the battle between Dong Yuanqing and the other two and Eugene. At this moment, the four of them had also exchanged dozens of blows. At this time, Dong Yuanqing and the other two were no longer a match for them and were retreating step by step. Chapter 4089. Dong Yuanqing and the other two had exchanged dozens of blows with Eugene. This was already their limit, and they were only able to achieve this result by relying on their joint attack technique. Otherwise, they would have been crushed like rotten wood. Even so, they were still forced to retreat. Fortunately, almost all of the remaining people from the Heavenly Palace had rushed into the valley. Let's retreat too. Dong Yuanqing sent a sound transmission to Bu Yunnan and the others. Boom! They condensed another turtle shell and blocked Eugene's saber strike. The turtle shell shattered and the violent saber chi rushed towards them. Their bodies trembled and their faces turned pale. However, with the help of this force, they retreated rapidly and rushed towards the eastern valley. You want to leave? Leave all of them behind. Eugene shouted coldly as the saber light slashed out once again. Mu Yun, retreat. At the side, Ling Yue shouted and shot an arrow. This arrow was shot towards the Luo corpse. As for Lu Ming, while the Luo corpse was blocking Ling Yue's arrow, he explosively retreated and also rushed towards the eastern valley. In fact, he was very close to the eastern valley. During the battle with the Luo corpse, Lu Ming had intentionally or unintentionally approached the eastern valley. The reason he fought with the Luo corpse was to stimulate his potential so that he could break through. He wasn't courting death, so he would naturally leave a way out for himself. As for Ling Yue, she had been swimming the entire time, and was even closer to the eastern valley. Therefore, Lu Ming and Ling Yue moved and rushed into the valley. As soon as they rushed into the valley, the environment of the world suddenly changed, completely changing its appearance. This was an illusion array. Even if the demons followed them in, they wouldn't be able to find any traces of them. Following that, the jade talisman on their bodies lit up, and Lu Ming felt a wave of energy envelop his entire body. Lu Ming did not resist and allowed the force to pull him. In the next moment, his figure disappeared from where he stood. Then, Lu Ming found himself underground. Array within array. There was an escape array within the illusion array that allowed them to enter the ground. Underground, there was a passage that led to the front. Ling Yue was right beside him. In addition, there were other people from the Heavenly Palace. Go, let's go. Someone from the Heavenly Palace shouted. Then, they followed the passage and rushed forward. At the end of the passage, another matrix appeared. They stepped into the formation and left in a flash. In the next moment, they appeared on the ground, but they were already far away from the area they were in. There was more than one hiding place in the Heavenly Palace. Previously, Dong Yuanqing had set up formations in different places in the area as hiding spots. They had just moved to another hiding place. People kept appearing beside them. However, Dong Yuanqing and the other two were nowhere to be seen. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Dong Yuanqing and the other two were the strongest among them, so they could not fight. If they did, the Heavenly Palace would be finished in this battle. Fortunately, not long after, there was a flash of space, and 3 figures appeared. These 3 people were none other than Dong Yuanqing, Bi Yunan, and the Devil Race's prodigy. The 3 of them were pale and their auras were weak. Blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Clearly, they were injured. However, they survived in the end. Brother Dong Yuanqing, have you gotten rid of those devils? I wonder if the devils will chase after us. Someone asked worriedly, afraid that the devils would follow the path they took. Don't worry, the matrix behind us will automatically be destroyed. They won't be able to catch up to us. They won't be able to find us in a short period of time. Our injured friends can have a good rest, Dong Yuanqing said. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they looked around, their hearts became even heavier. Only about 300 people could make it here. Previously, there were 500 people. In other words, another 200 people from the Heavenly Palace had been killed by the devils in the battle just now. The Heavenly Palace's strength was getting weaker and weaker. If this continued, the situation would become more and more disadvantageous for them. Everyone, let's have a good rest first, Dong Yuanqing said. After saying that, he found a place, sat down cross-legged, swallowed a few divine pills, and began to heal his injuries. The others also found a place to sit down and meditate. In this battle, everyone had more or less suffered different degrees of injuries and needed to rest. Lu Ming also found a place and sat down cross-legged. He activated the forbidden power, and his injuries quickly recovered. In the battle just now, Lu Ming's injuries were very serious. They were not any weaker than the previous battle with Luo Shi. Of course, the potential that was stimulated was also very shocking. In their previous hiding place, rumble. The ground kept shaking. A large number of devils stood in the void and raised the valley in the east to the ground. Damn it. That kid got away again. The next time I catch him, I'll skin him alive and pull out his tendons, Luo Shi roared. The other devils were also unhappy. Eugene stood in the void, his eyes as cold as a knife. This temporary planet is only so big. Let's see where they can run to. Pass down the order. Search thoroughly. We must find the people from the Heavenly Palace, Eugene ordered. On this temporary planet, Eugene was the strongest prodigy with the strongest combat strength. The other devils naturally obeyed Eugene's orders. Thousands of devils divided into groups and searched for the people from the Heavenly Palace on a large scale. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. In the new hiding place, after 2 days, most of the people's injuries were more or less healed. Lu Ming's injuries were also healed. Not only had he recovered to his peak condition, but his cultivation level had also increased. He had broken through to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer. I didn't break through. What a pity. Lu Ming was annoyed. He had wanted to take this opportunity to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. Originally, he had a chance, but unfortunately, his cells didn't have enough potential. After breaking through to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer, it would be difficult for him to break through again. Lu Ming could only sigh speechlessly. He then took out the spirit wood heart and began to absorb it to store his potential again. Time passed. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. During those 5 days, the devils didn't find them, which gave them a chance to rest. After those 5 days, almost everyone's injuries had healed. As for Lu Ming, he had also restored the potential in his cells to 100%. The price was that he had consumed 9,000 spiritual wood hearts. He had obtained 50,000 spiritual wood hearts from the fairy clan. There wasn't much left. Only half of them were left. My potential is full. Unfortunately, I still need one more step to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. One more step. Lu Ming was lost in thought. Then, he looked in a certain direction. He was looking in the direction of Bi Yunan, the genius of the angel clan. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. Chapter 4090. Lu Ming was just a hair away from breaking through to the 5th godly emperor layer. It was just a hair's breadth away. If he cultivated step by step, it would take a long time. But if there was enough pressure, he could stimulate his potential and break through very quickly. There were no evil demons here, so he could only fight against the people of the Heavenly Palace. But there were only 3 people from the Heavenly Palace who could give him enough pressure. One was Dong Yuanqing, one was a peerless cultivator from the Demon Clan, and the third was Bu Nan. But Dong Yuanqing and the Demon Clan had no enmity with him. Even if he wanted to fight against them, they wouldn't want to kill him, so he wouldn't be able to stimulate his potential. Bu Nan was more suitable for him. Lu Ming wanted to challenge Bu Nan. He wanted to use his strength to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. But when he glanced at Dong Yuanqing and the Demon Clan, he had to give up on that idea. If he really fought against Bu Nan, it would cause a huge commotion. It would probably attract the evil demons. Dong Yuanqing and the Demon Clan wouldn't let them fight. They would try to stop them. Lu Ming thought about it for a moment and decided to focus on cultivation. Bzzz. Suddenly, the ground started shaking. Everybody was startled. They stopped cultivating and released their divine qi. They were on guard. They thought the evil demons had arrived. But they didn't see the evil demons. They saw a beam of light. In the distance, a beam of light shot up to the sky. It passed through the deployment spell they had set up. That beam of light was black and white. It was as if a white divine dragon and a black divine dragon were entangled together, spiraling upwards. That's the place where the maps of the Good Fortune Lands are hidden. The maps of the Good Fortune Lands are about to appear. Someone exclaimed. On this temporary planet, the master-level existences of the Celestial Palace and the demons had each set up a land of good fortune. But they were hidden very well. Without a map, they wouldn't be able to find them. The maps of the 2 lands of good fortune were hidden in the same place. Only when the battle between the 2 sides reached a certain point and a certain number of people died would the maps appear. The black and white beam of light meant that the maps of the 2 good fortune lands were about to appear. Furthermore, it wasn't particularly far from them. Looking at the distance, it should be on the half of the planet that was close to them. Were they going to snatch the map? Everyone looked at each other and hesitated for a moment. The black and white pillars of light were so obvious. If they saw it, the demons must have seen it too. The demons would definitely go there. If they left here to seize the map, they would definitely encounter the demons. How could they be a match for the demons? If he went, wouldn't he be courting death? However, they were now at a complete disadvantage and were completely passive. They were being chased by the demons all day long. The land of fortune could be said to be their last chance. The purpose of a land of good fortune was to give the side that was behind a chance to make a comeback, filling the battle with suspense. If they did not fight for it and instead let the demons take the map and obtain the creation of the land of creation, then the strong would become stronger and the weak would become weaker. Then, the Heavenly Palace would have no chance at all. What awaited them was only defeat and death. Do you want to give it a shot? I think we should give it a shot. Otherwise, we'll definitely lose. The outcome is already decided. If we hide here, we'll be found sooner or later. We're just waiting for death. That's right. I think we should give it a shot too. I'd rather die in battle than wait for death here. That's right. Many people's fighting spirit was aroused and they decided to give it a shot. In the end, everyone looked at Dong Yuanqing, Bu Nan, and the monster from the demon race. The 3 of them were the strongest among the group. If the 3 of them were unwilling to go, then their chances would be slim even if they went. I think we have to give it a shot, but we can't be impulsive. What if the demons are waiting for us to take the bait? I think we should send someone out to investigate the situation before making a decision. What do you think? Dong Yuanqing said and then looked at Bu Nan and the monster from the demon race. I have no objections. I have no objections either. Bu Nan and the monster from the demon race nodded. Very well. Send someone out to investigate the demon situation now. Dong Yuanqing nodded and immediately began to select people to go out and investigate the situation. Although those who were selected were unwilling, They had no choice but to leave this place to investigate the situation. Everyone waited quietly. Not long after, someone returned. They said that there were no traces of the demons in the surrounding area. The demons should have all gone in the direction of the black and white light pillar to snatch the map. After hearing this news, everyone began to discuss again whether they should go and snatch the map. Now that things had come to this, everyone hesitated again. After all, their strength was too far away from the demons. If they went to fight with the demons for the map, it was very likely that they would be annihilated by the demons before they could obtain the map. It was a matter of life and death. Everyone began to hesitate again. Swoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming stepped into the air and exuded a powerful aura. Boom! Lu Ming blasted out a punch. A fist force penetrated the void and blasted toward Bu Yunnan. It happened so suddenly that everyone was stunned. They did not know why Lu Ming would suddenly attack Bu Yunnan. Bu Yunnan was also a little stunned. However, he was a peerless monster after all. His reaction was very fast. He opened his mouth and let out a long roar. A pure white sword light shot out from his mouth and slashed at Lu Ming's fist force. Boom! With a violent roar, Lu Ming's fist force was dispersed by the sword light. Kid, you're courting death. Bu Yunnan roared. A terrifying aura burst out. 12 wings stretched out and a terrifying holy light shot up into the sky, illuminating the sky. Do you only know how to talk? Let's see what you're capable of. Lu Ming did not stop. He raised his combat strength to the extreme. His body was covered in dazzling light. Both of his fists blasted out continuously. Streaks of terrifying fist force blasted toward Bu Yunnan. You're courting death. Bu Yunnan roared. He clenched his fist and a cross-shaped holy sword appeared. With a flap of his angelic wings, he turned into a holy light and rushed toward Lu Ming. Boom! 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 The two of them clashed fiercely. All of this happened too suddenly. Many people just woke up from their daze. What's wrong with Mu Yun? Why is he suddenly fighting with Bu Yunnan? I don't know. He suddenly attacked. He must be crazy. You're courting death. This time, Bu Yunnan will definitely not let him go. Could it be that he doesn't want to die in the hands of the devil and wants to die in the hands of Bu Yunnan? However, if he dies in the hands of the devil, he will become his food. That's too miserable. Many people were discussing among themselves. They could not figure out Lu Ming's thoughts. Dong Yuanqing and the monster from the devil race were also stunned. The battle broke out too suddenly. They wanted to stop it, but it was too late. Chapter 4091. Dong Yuanqing and the demon cultivator wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Besides, they didn't have any intention of stopping him. That was because the demons were heading towards the black and white pillars of light to obtain the map. No matter how big the commotion was, it wouldn't attract the demons. In their opinion, Lu Ming was overestimating himself. He was obviously weaker than Bu Yunnan, but he still took the initiative to attack him. He was courting death. However, Lu Ming was also a strong fighter. They planned to save Lu Ming when Lu Ming was half dead. Ling Yue was in a daze at first. Lu Ming's sudden attack on Bu Yunnan was too sudden. However, after spending some time with him, he had a better understanding of Lu Ming. She knew that Lu Ming wouldn't attack Bu Yunnan for no reason. There had to be a reason. Therefore, she secretly circulated her godly strength. As long as anyone tried to stop Lu Ming, she would stop them. At the same time, when Lu Ming was in danger, she could save Lu Ming. Boom boom, Lu Ming and Bu Yunnan's battle was very intense. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 moves. Bu Yunnan was really strong. He wasn't any weaker than Luo Shi. As soon as they started fighting, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. However, during this time, his cultivation level had risen to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer. His strength had increased a little. He was in a better situation than when he had fought Luo Shi. After a dozen moves, Lu Ming retreated rapidly. He felt like every muscle in his body was shaking violently. He felt like he was being torn apart. Not enough, again, shouted Lu Ming. He took the initiative to attack Bu Nan. Before he arrived, he had already used the Great Demon Sword technique. A dozen demon swords whistled through the air and shot towards Bu Nan. At the same time, Lu Ming activated the Great Divine Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique to the extreme. He continuously punched out. Streams of fist force smashed toward Bu Nan like meteors. Angelic sword. Bu Nan roared, and the holy light on his body became even more intense. More than a dozen pure white feathers flew out and transformed into 12 pure white divine swords. They pierced through the air as if they were going to split the sky in half. The 12 angelic divine swords were the first to clash with the dozen or so demonic swords, resulting in an earth-shattering explosion. The dozen or so demonic swords collapsed immediately. They only managed to resist for a single breath. Then, the angelic godly sword collided with Lu Ming's fist energy. The terrifying qi was like waves of water, rushing in all directions. It was very shocking. The surrounding people hurriedly retreated and distanced themselves from it, afraid that they would be swept up. The rocks on the ground exploded and the void was torn apart. The entire world was shaking violently. The formation covering this area was also constantly vibrating, and a strong force seeped out of the formation. If there were demons around, they would definitely be attracted by the commotion. This was also the reason why Lu Ming didn't make a move earlier. After a series of booming sounds, Lu Ming's figure retreated again. This time, Lu Ming was injured. A sword light had pierced through his chest, and a hideous wound had appeared. "I can feel it, I can feel it," whispered Lu Ming. He could sense that his cells were trembling. His potential was unceasingly being stimulated. His injuries were quickly healing. At the same time, that potential was transforming into his cultivation. He could sense that the bottleneck of the fifth godly emperor layer was about to loosen. He could already see the fifth godly emperor layer waving at him. Just one more step. Lu Ming had the impression that he was one step away from breaking through to the fifth godly emperor layer. Bu Nan, is that all you've got? That's the 12-winged angel of the angel clan? You're not as good as the rumors, shouted Lu Ming. You want to die? I will cut you into 10,000 pieces, shouted Bu Nan furiously. His eyes were filled with murder. He was a 12-winged angel of the angel race. Moreover, his cultivation level was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. However, he could not do anything to Lu Ming even after exchanging many blows. To him, this was a great humiliation. He had already decided that no matter what, he had to kill Lu Ming. No matter who tried to stop him, it was useless. Angel King, Bu Nan let out a long howl as holy light shot into the sky. In the next moment, a huge figure emerged from his body. It was the silhouette of an angel, but it was gigantic. It had 12 angel wings, but those wings weren't white, they were golden. At the same time, it had a crown on its head. It was the silhouette of the Angel King. Boom. As soon as the silhouette of the Angel King appeared, a terrifying qi exploded like a volcano. The silhouette of the Angel King was holding an angel godly sword, and it moved towards Lu Ming. Boom boom boom. Heaven and earth exploded, and the void collapsed under the angel godly sword. Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure pressing down on him. All the muscles in his body suddenly tensed up. Mu Yun. Ling Yu Wei cried out in alarm, revealing a worried expression. This was because Bu Nan's move was too terrifying. Even though she was a distance away, she could still feel the astonishing power. A battle bow appeared in her hand, ready to save him at any time. Don't do it, let me do it myself. Lu Ming's voice came into Ling Yu Wei's ears. Her movements immediately stopped. Come on, come on. Just use this move to help me break through. Lu Ming's eyes revealed an excited light. Before this move even arrived, Lu Ming already felt an extremely strong pressure. Under the strong pressure, the potential in Lu Ming's cells was constantly being stimulated. My strongest move. Lu Ming roared, and all of his strength erupted in an instant. His entire body turned into a ball of dazzling light as he soared into the sky, charging towards the sword slashed out by the Angel King's silhouette. Boom. In the next moment, the attacks of the two collided heavily. This time, It was as if two planets had collided. The terrifying strength chi swept out, and wherever it passed, the void collapsed into chaos and darkness. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The surrounding people were already far enough away, but now, they realized that they were not far enough. The terrifying strength chi quickly swept towards them, and everyone retreated once again. Look, Mu Yun can't take it anymore. Someone shouted. Everyone saw that the ball of light that Lu Ming had transformed into was violently shaking, and then with a shua sound, it smashed towards the ground. Like a meteor, it heavily smashed into the ground. The ground shook continuously, and gravel flew everywhere. The gravel carried a wave of air that swept in all directions. How is it? Everyone stared in that direction. Soon, the gravel scattered, and a huge crater appeared on the ground. It was dark and unfathomable. Under this move of mine, Mu Yun can only die, Bu Nan said coldly. He stood in the air, and the huge shadow of the Angel King still appeared behind him. Chapter 4092. Mu Yun is dead. The crowd was stupefied when they heard Bu Nan. Such a strong cultivator had been killed by Bu Nan just like that. That Mu Yun really wanted to die. He wasn't as strong as Bu Nan, but he took the initiative to fight against him. He deserved to die. Indeed, he deserved it. That's what happens when you overestimate yourself. Some people were talking loudly. They were obviously trying to curry favor with Bu Nan. Mu Yun. Ling Yuwei tightly gripped the bow in her hand as she stared at the huge pit. Even though she knew that Lu Ming had a goal, she still couldn't help but worry when she saw that. In the sky, Dong Yuanqing and the demon cultivator shook their heads. They felt it was a pity. But they didn't know why, but deep in their hearts, they sighed with relief. Lu Ming was too strong. He only had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, but he was already so strong. It was unimaginable. They felt a lot of pressure from him. Lu Ming's cultivation level was only 2 layers lower than theirs. If Lu Ming's cultivation level caught up with theirs, he would surpass them sooner or later. If they could survive this ordeal, Lu Ming would become their strongest competitor in the future. At that moment, Lu Ming had died at Bu Nan's hands. They would have one less enemy. Anyway, even though Mu Yun's fighting strength is not bad, he won't be able to help us in the battle against the evil demons. If the Heavenly Palace wants to win, they still need the good fortune of the land of creation. The demon genius thought to himself. However, at the next moment, his eyes widened in shock as he stared at the huge pit that Lu Ming had created. Because at that moment, a powerful chi had suddenly emerged from the crater. As soon as that chi appeared, it started rising rapidly. Very quickly, it reached the top of the fourth godly emperor layer. Then, boom! An even more terrifying chi emerged. It broke through the limit of the fourth godly emperor layer and reached the fifth godly emperor layer. He had broken through. At this moment, these 3 words automatically popped up in everyone's minds. Lu Ming had actually broken through. Just now, everyone still thought that Lu Ming was killed by Bu Nan's ultimate move and had already thoroughly perished. They did not expect that not only did Lu Ming not perish, he broke through instead. What was going on? He was severely injured, but not only was he fine, he even managed to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. What kind of monster was this? Many people felt as if their brains had been blown away. Brennan's eyes were red. They were blood red. That was the result of his anger. The murderous intent on his body became even more intense, and his face was completely distorted. Could it be that not only did his strongest move fail to kill Lu Ming, it had instead become Lu Ming's assistance and helped him break through? Unbearable. Unbearable. Brennan felt that he was about to be ignited by anger and jealousy. You want to break through? Impossible. Die. Die. You bastard. Die. Bu Nan roared crazily like a mad beast. Swish. He attacked with all his might, his palm slashing towards the huge pit. Immediately, the angel sword in the hand of the phantom of the Angel King also slashed down towards the huge pit. This sword strike was made by Bu Nan in a fit of rage, and its power was extremely powerful. He wanted to kill Lu Ming completely before Lu Ming had completely broken through. At this moment, he no longer cared about the great battle with the demons. At this moment, there was only one goal in his heart, and that was to kill Lu Ming. If he didn't kill Lu Ming, this matter would become his inner demon, forever following him and obstructing his future cultivation. Bu Yunan, stop! Ling Yue roared and shot out an arrow with all her might. An arrow pierced through the air at an astonishing speed and hit the angel sword of the phantom of the Angel King. With a boom, Ling Yue's arrow exploded. However, the phantom of the Angel King's divine sword continued to slash down. There was still a huge gap between Ling Yue's battle strength and Bu Yunan's. Although she had offset the power of the divine sword, she couldn't completely block the attack of the divine sword. The gigantic angelic divine sword continued to slash at the huge pit where Lu Ming was. With a loud bang, it slashed at the huge pit. A huge crack appeared on the ground, and the crack spread rapidly into the distance. But at that moment, a dazzling fist energy soared into the sky from the huge pit and hit the angel sword. With an earth-shattering explosion, the fist energy and the angel sword both dissipated. A moment later, a figure rose from the huge pit and stood in the air. His entire body was enveloped by a dazzling multicolored light. He looked extraordinary. The person in the multicolored light was naturally Lu Ming. In the battle with Bu Yunan, Lu Ming had finally stimulated his potential and broken through the bottleneck in one fell swoop. His cultivation had reached the 5th layer of the godly emperor layer, and his battle strength had greatly increased. I didn't have enough fun just now. Now, I'll fight with you again. Lu Ming stepped out. With every step he took, there was a roaring sound in the void. After a few steps, he was already close to Bu Yunan. Boom! A fist blasted towards Bu Yunan. The violent fist energy pierced through the void and crushed towards Bu Yunan. Its power was extremely strong. The might of this punch made Bu Yunan's entire body tense up, giving him a strong sense of crisis. Slash! Shouted Bu Yunan. The phantom of the Angel King's divine sword slashed towards Lu Ming. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion spread in the air. This time, Lu Ming didn't move at all. However, the angel sword was shaking violently. It seemed like its light had dimmed. Bu Yunan's body shook violently. He couldn't help but take a few steps back. How is that possible? Shouted Bu Yunan in disbelief. That's all you've got. I'll suppress you, shouted Lu Ming as he punched with both fists. His fists contained the power of various secret arts, including the power of the great god wind art and the great shattering art. Bu Yunan roared. He controlled the phantom of the Angel King to fight against Lu Ming with all his strength. Boom! 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 Rumbling sounds echoed in the air. In an instant, there were 10 rumbling sounds. Finally, there was a loud bang. The angel sword in the phantom of the Angel King exploded. Lu Ming rushed over and attacked with all his might. He pierced through the head of the Angel King. Then, the phantom of the Angel King exploded. When the phantom of the Angel King exploded, Bu Yunan suffered a backlash. He screamed and coughed up blood. His body was sent flying. Swish! Lu Ming followed up and punched Bu Yunan's face. Bu Yunan screamed in pain. His body fell heavily on the ground, creating a huge pit that was bigger than the one Lu Ming had created. Bu Yunan was lying in the huge pit, vomiting blood. His body was twitching, and his face was swollen like a pig's head. Lu Ming stepped out and was about to fall into the huge pit. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Mu Yun, stop! How dare you! The other angels shouted. However, when they saw Lu Ming's cold gaze, they trembled in fear. They didn't dare to step forward. Chapter 4093. Mu Yun, please be merciful. At this time, Dong Yuanqing shouted. That's right, we still have to fight with the demons in the future. Bu Yunan is an important battle force, please spare his life. The demon genius from the demon clan also tried to persuade him. Their eyes were also filled with shock. Today's scene was truly out of their expectations. Now they finally understood why Lu Ming suddenly attacked Bu Yunan. It was probably because Lu Ming himself felt that he was about to break through, So he attacked Lu Ming's opponent and used Bu Yunan's pressure to help him break through. Many peerless monsters had such an experience. For example, they had done such a thing before. However, that was when their cultivation was still relatively low. Ever since they stepped into the Divine Lord realm, it was very difficult. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to break through. Not to mention the Divine Emperor realm. And Lu Ming, at the Divine Emperor realm, was actually able to borrow the pressure of the other party to break through. It was truly shocking. Once he broke through, he completely reversed the situation and suppressed Bu Yunan, revealing a terrifying battle strength. This kind of battle strength had already surpassed theirs. Therefore, they had no choice but to be cautious with their tone towards Lu Ming. "It's fine if you want me to let him go. Beg for mercy and apologize." Lu Ming looked coldly at Bu Yunan below. The first time he met Bu Yunan, the other party wanted to make a move on him and even wanted him to kneel down and apologize to Gabbert. He wanted to use the Dream Jade to record it. If not for Lu Ming's strength being strong enough and Ling Yue's help, and Bu Yunan himself being worried that the battle would attract demons, things would not have ended so easily. Lu Ming was not such an easy person to talk to. If there was a chance, he would naturally take revenge. "You want me to apologize?" "Impossible." Bu Yunan roared, his face incomparably ferocious. Who was he? He was a peerless genius of the Angel clan, a 12-winged angel, a candidate for the Universe Genius list. In the Angel clan, his talent was not inferior to Gabbert's. If it weren't for the fact that he was younger than Gabbert and had a huge gap in cultivation, his status wouldn't be any lower than Gabbert's. With his status, being defeated by Lu Ming was already a great humiliation. Now, he had to apologize to Lu Ming. How was that possible? What did he do wrong? Impossible? Alright, since you have the guts and aren't afraid of death, I'll fulfill your wish. Lu Ming coldly spoke. He clenched his fist in the air as a devil sword materialized. His killing intent was as cold as ice. "How dare you, Mu Yun? I am a 12-winged angel of the angel race. I am the pillar of the angel race. If you dare to kill me, you are courting death. The angel race will never let you off." Bu Yunan roared. He was certain that Lu Ming would not dare to kill him. The other angels were still fine, but 12-winged angels were not to be underestimated. They were extremely rare, and every single one of them would be extraordinary when they grew up. A 12-winged angel had the chance to break through to the Almighty Realm. Once they broke through to the Almighty Realm, they would be the top experts in the universe. They were extremely important to a large race. Many of the powerful races on the primitive 10,000 races list didn't have any Almighty Realm existences. Once a race produced an Almighty Realm existence, the race's status in the primitive universe would skyrocket. The weight of their words in the Heavenly Palace would also increase. Being able to obtain a huge amount of resources for the race was crucial to the development of the race. This showed the importance of an Almighty Realm expert. At the same time, it also showed the importance of someone who had the chance to break through to the Almighty Realm. The angel race would definitely seek revenge if such an important person was killed by Lu Ming. Therefore, Bu Yunan had nothing to fear. In fact, many people present also thought so. They thought that Lu Ming wouldn't dare to kill Bu Yunan. "We'll talk about the future later. If you don't apologize now, I'll feel uncomfortable. This is more important." Lu Ming's face revealed a sinister expression. He smiled sinisterly and pounced on Bu Yunan like a bolt of lightning. The devil's sword in his hand whistled as it slashed out. Splat! Blood splattered 30 feet away. When Lu Ming charged out of the crater again, he had a head in his hand. It was Bu Yunan's head. "No! No, no, this time," Bu Yunan really screamed in terror. Bu Yunan wasn't dead yet. A person like him wouldn't die after his head was cut off. He was only heavily injured. "No! Didn't you say that I wouldn't dare to kill you?" Lu Ming's voice grew colder. He held Bu Yunan's head in his hand. If he exerted a little force, Bu Yunan's head would explode. The soul residing inside would also be annihilated instantly. Bu Yunan was almost scared to death. From Lu Ming's voice and Lu Ming's expression, He could feel that Lu Ming really dared to kill him. This was a crazy person. He was capable of doing anything. He had a feeling that if he continued to be stubborn, Lu Ming wouldn't hesitate to shatter his head. Around them, the others also looked at each other. They saw the horror in each other's eyes. They didn't expect Lu Ming to be so bold. He even dared to kill a 12-winged angel of the angel race. Many people's fear of Lu Ming deepened. "Okay, I apologize. I admit my mistake," Bu Yunnan roared. In the end, he chose to submit. "What did you do wrong?" Lu Ming said lightly. "I shouldn't have interfered in the matter between you and Gabbert. I shouldn't have been so arrogant. If I meet you in the future, I'll take the initiative to avoid you." Bu Yunnan roared. In order to survive, he was ready to risk everything. "Mph, I'll spare your life this time." Lu Ming snorted. With a wave of his hand, Bu Yunnan's head flew out. It flew to his body and connected with his neck. It quickly stuck together. Huff! Huff! Bu Yunnan gasped for breath. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. The reason why Lu Ming didn't kill Bu Yunnan wasn't because he didn't dare. He was indeed a little afraid of the angel race, but not to the extent that he didn't dare. The main reason was that the battle with the demons wasn't over yet. He still needed Bu Yunnan. Bu Yunnan, Dong Yuanqing, and Dong Yuanqing had practiced their joint attack for many days. It was a great help at a critical moment. Because even though Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the 5th godly emperor realm, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to defeat Eugene alone. He needed the help of others. Taking this into account, Lu Ming spared Bu Yunnan's life. "Everyone, the demons have already set off for a long time. There's no time to lose. We should set off now. If we're late, the demons will take away both maps. Then, we won't be able to reverse the situation," Lu Ming said. His voice spread throughout the entire area. "That's right. It's time to set off. Now that Brother Mu's cultivation has broken through and his fighting strength has increased greatly, it's the luck of the Heavenly Palace," Dong Yuanqing said. When they heard Dong Yuanqing, many people's faces were filled with joy. Indeed, Lu Ming's fighting strength had increased greatly. He could even defeat Bu Yunnan. It could be said that he was the strongest cultivator in the Heavenly Palace. It was a good thing for everyone. Chapter 4094. Soon, everyone made a final decision. They would set off immediately to fight for the map with the demons in front of the black and white light pillars. At the very least, they had to get the map of the Heavenly Palace. Only then would they have a chance of winning. After making up their minds, they did not hesitate and set off immediately. They left the area and rushed toward the black and white light pillars. Bu Yunnan was also recovering from his injuries with the help of the other 2 prodigies of the angel race. Although his injuries were quite serious, Lu Ming knew how to control his strength. They were all superficial wounds and did not hurt his core. Therefore, he recovered quickly. It would not be long before he recovered to his peak. They were very fast. The black and white light pillars were getting clearer and clearer. The sky was covered by the black and white light. Even on the other side of the planet, they would be able to see it. It was conceivable that it would not be long before all the prodigies and demons of the Heavenly Palace who were participating in the battle arrived here. They were not far away from the black and white light pillars. Soon, they were close. Along the way, they did not encounter a single demon. That is, suddenly, everyone was shocked. They could not help but widen their eyes and look ahead. In front of them, there was a huge mountain that stood between heaven and earth. The mountain was extremely majestic. It pierced through the clouds and occupied a very large area. At the top of the mountain, 2 black and white light pillars were entangled and shot into the sky. What surprised them was that this mountain did not exist before. Otherwise, it would have been found long ago. This mountain must have been hidden before. It would only appear when the 2 sides were almost done killing each other. Kill. Rumble. Violent roars and battle cries could be heard from the mountain peak. They looked from afar and saw a large number of demons rushing toward the top of the mountain. However, they were blocked. On the mountain peak, There were many monsters condensed from rocks. They were constantly attacking the demons. The battle above was very fierce. Seeing this, everyone in the heavenly palace heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that the demons had not gotten the map yet. It seemed that it would not be easy to get the map. This mountain peak was blocked by monsters condensed from rocks. If they wanted to rush to the top of the mountain and get the map, they would have to defeat these rock monsters. "What should we do?" someone asked. Many people couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's current combat strength was already the strongest in the heavenly palace. Unknowingly, his position in the hearts of the people had risen a lot. If they had any opinions, the first thing they thought of was Lu Ming. They wanted to know Lu Ming's opinion. "We're not in a hurry now. It won't be that easy for the demons to rush to the top of the mountain. Now, the people from the other half of this temporary planet are probably also rushing here. Let's hide and wait here. When the other people from the heavenly palace arrive, we'll stop them and meet up with them. When the last demon is about to reach the top of the mountain, we'll attack and take the map in one fell swoop." Lu Ming voiced his thoughts. Good idea." Everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, given the current situation, this was the best solution. They could meet up with the others from the heavenly palace to increase their strength. And when the demons rushed to the top of the mountain and fought with the rock monsters, their strength would be weakened. Although as time passed, other demons would come and meet up with Eugene and the others, which would increase the demons' strength. Overall, for the heavenly palace, the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. "I'll set up a concealment formation," Dong Yuanqing said. Then, he began to move. His figure flickered on the ground. With every move he made, densely packed runes would spread out and enter the ground, disappearing without a trace. Of course, Dong Yuanqing couldn't emit runes from every pore on his body like Dandan. But his attainment in rune formations was amazing. Among the younger generation, Lu Ming was second only to Dandan in terms of rune formations. Not long after, an illusory formation was successfully set up. As long as they were in the illusory formation, the demons wouldn't be able to find them. Then, they sent people out to ambush nearby. As long as they saw the people from the heavenly palace coming, they would stop them and bring them here. After everything was set up, they waited quietly. Lu Ming and the others continued to look at the mountain from afar. The demons and the rock monsters on the mountain were still fighting fiercely. It was obvious that Eugene was at the forefront of the demons. The demonic blade in his hand was extremely powerful. Following closely behind Eugene were a few demons who weren't weaker than Dong Yuanqing and Bi Yunan. Luo Shi was among them. However, the rock monsters on the mountain were also very strong. They seemed to have been refined by a master. Their bodies were as hard as divine weapons. Even the strongest Eugene had to slash a rock monster several times to cut it open. So, it wouldn't be easy for the demons to reach the mountain and get the map. This made Lu Ming and the others feel more at ease. They had enough time to wait. Time passed quickly. After a while, Lu Ming and the others finally saw the first batch of reinforcements. A top demon from the Battle Saint tribe, who was also a 6th-level godly emperor, had arrived. He could fight opponents 4 levels higher than him. He was also a candidate for the Universe Prodigy list. There were more than 10 people with him. They came from the other side of the planet. When this person came, he immediately greeted Battle God Yuan Wen. Although this person was talented, he was still lacking compared to Battle God Yuan Wen. His status in the Battle Saint tribe wasn't as high as Battle God Yuan Wen's. "How's the situation in your area?" Battle God Yuan Wen asked. The other party explained. Previously, Eugene had led a group of demons and wiped out half of the planet. There was still half of the planet left. The demons on that half of the planet and the geniuses from the heavenly palace were in a chaotic battle. There weren't any strong demons that broke the balance. Both sides had suffered losses and victories. It wasn't a one-sided battle. Then, they saw the black and white light pillars covering the sky. They knew that the map of the Land of Fortune had appeared, so they hurried over. Then, Battle God Yuan Wen explained the situation here. The other party's expression was very serious. Obviously, He didn't expect that there would be a strong demon like Eugene. Later, as time passed, more and more experts from the Heavenly Palace came to gather. 2 days later, there were already more than 800 people who came to gather. Among them, there were 3 more geniuses who weren't weaker than Bu Yunan and Dong Yuanqing. These 3 were the 3 strongest people on the other half of the planet. Chapter 4095. The Heavenly Palace had 3 more top-notch geniuses and nearly 800 people. Their combat strength had increased tremendously. However, the evil demons had also gained many experts. Their numbers had doubled. Among them, there was no lack of evil demons at Luosha's level. With the addition of a large number of evil demons, their speed was even faster. After 2 days, they were about to reach the peak of the mountain. Obviously, the map of the land of creation was at the peak of the mountain. "We can set off now." Lu Ming was the first to speak. This caused some people to be dissatisfied. These people were naturally those who had joined later, especially the few top-notch geniuses. Who was Lu Ming to be the first to speak as if he was giving orders? This made them very unhappy. What right did Lu Ming have? However, to their surprise, Dong Yuanqing and the others did not seem to have any objections. They all nodded in unison. They were quite puzzled. Dong Yuanqing and the others seemed to be listening to Lu Ming's opinion. Was there a mistake? However, this was not the time to argue. They suppressed the doubts in their hearts and prepared to set off. "Let's go." Lu Ming shouted in a low voice and took the lead to rush out. The others followed closely behind. They turned into streaks of rainbow light and flew toward the majestic mountain peak. With so many people moving together, the momentum was very shocking. They were immediately discovered by the evil demons. Clang! Clang! On the mountain peak, Eugene slashed a rock monster in half with 2 consecutive slashes. He looked coldly at Lu Ming and the others. These people from the Heavenly Palace still dare to fight for the map. They are courting death. You guys take some people to stop the people from the Heavenly Palace. I will kill them after I get the map. Eugene said coldly. Don't worry. You don't have to do anything. These people from the Heavenly Palace are dead meat. Luosha smiled ferociously. His fierce eyes were already fixed on Lu Ming. This was the 2nd time. Lu Ming had managed to escape twice. As someone whose combat strength was lower than his, this was the first time that he had escaped from his hands twice in a row. His desire to kill Lu Ming was extremely strong. Not more than 3 times. He swore that there would not be a 3rd time. This time, he was going to twist Lu Ming's head off. About half of the evil demons turned and rushed down the mountain toward the people from the Heavenly Palace. Among them, there were 7 top-notch geniuses like Luosha. As for Eugene, he continued to kill the rock monsters and climbed up the mountain peak. Kill. Kill these scum from the Heavenly Palace. ACOM. In the next moment, the 2 sides clashed. Lu Ming. On the other side, Luosha stared at Lu Ming all the time. At this moment, he stretched out his claws and crushed the heads of 2 Heavenly Palace geniuses, 1 in each hand. The other geniuses from the Heavenly Palace did not dare to get close to Luosha at all. They kept a distance from him. Die, brat! Luosha roared ferociously. A pair of huge evil demon wings flapped. With a terrifying gust of wind and a whistling sound, he rushed toward Lu Ming. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming also rushed toward Luosha and threw out a punch. Watch me break your arm. Luosha roared. His evil demon claws grabbed at Lu Ming's arm. Boom! Lu Ming's fist collided with Luosha's evil demon claws. Crack! At the moment of collision, Luosha's evil demon claws shook violently. His fingers made the sound of bones breaking. His arm shook violently. Not only did Luosha's arm shake violently, but his body also shook violently and retreated violently. His ferocious face was full of astonishment and disbelief. He seemed to find it hard to believe that Lu Ming's strength had suddenly become so strong. It had only been a few days. How could Lu Ming's combat strength suddenly soar and even surpass his? In a battle between masters, the slightest difference could make a difference of 1,000 miles. A slight difference could determine life and death. Luo Shi had never expected that Lu Ming's combat strength would be so strong that it surpassed his. Therefore, he was stunned for a moment. This moment was enough to determine his life and death. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His fists bombarded the void continuously, turning it into a hornet's nest. With Luo Shi's combat strength, if he resisted with all his strength, he might be able to resist for a while. But now that he was stunned, his result was doomed. Bang! Puff! Flesh and blood splattered. Luo Shi's burly body was directly penetrated by Lu Ming's fist force and was smashed into pieces. His head was also turned into minced meat under Lu Ming's fist force. A top genius of the evil demon was killed directly. The surrounding evil demons were stupefied. That scene was completely beyond their expectations. They hadn't thought that a strong evil demon who was second only to Eugene would be killed so easily. Boom! After killing Luo Shi, Lu Ming didn't stop. He used his full strength. His entire body was covered in dazzling lights. He looked like a planet as he dashed towards a group of evil demons. Bang! 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 Those evil demons couldn't withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Lu Ming dashed forward and those evil demons exploded like balloons. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Lu Ming grabbed the drops of evil demon spirit blood and put them away. Lu Ming dashed forward, leaving behind a trail of blood and flesh. At least dozens of demon prodigies died in his hands. Then, Lu Ming dashed to the front of another top demon prodigy. That evil demon was also a cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer. He could fight cultivators who were 4 cultivation levels higher than him. He wasn't any weaker than Luo Shi. Evil demon roar! Shouted that evil demon. A terrifying destructive strength emerged from his mouth and moved towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming struck with all his might. His fist penetrated the destructive force. His body dashed forward and the fist force blasted toward the person like a meteor. Die! Shouted that evil demon furiously. He used his full strength to resist. However, even if he used his full strength, he couldn't compete with Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who had reached the 5th level of the God Emperor realm, was already half a level higher than Luo Shi or the demon in front of him. It was like when Lu Ming had broken through to the 4th godly emperor layer and fought against Sa Dao. In terms of fighting strength, he was much stronger than Luo Shi. Even though the evil demon could resist for a while, he couldn't compete with Luo Shi. After a dozen attacks, the evil demon gave horrible shrieks and was blown away. His chest had been pierced by Lu Ming's punches. He was severely injured. Die! Lu Ming did not give the other party a chance to catch his breath at all. He stepped into the void and chased after him. More than 10 demon swords slashed toward his head and face. At the same time, the destructive fist force formed by the Great Divine Wind skill and the Great Shattering skill bombarded him. That evil demon shouted furiously and tried to fight back, but it was useless. The next moment, his body was torn into pieces and Lu Ming grabbed the evil demon's spirit blood. Yet another top demon genius was slain. Chapter 4096. Lu Ming killed 2 top-notch demons in a row. He did it in an instant. His speed was too fast. At that moment, Eugene finally came back to his senses. He pulled a long face. "You want to die?" shouted Eugene furiously. He gave up on attacking the top of the mountain and turned around to attack Lu Ming. However, there was still some distance between him and Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't stop. He continued attacking other demons. This time, Lu Ming didn't attack the strongest demons because they could resist Lu Ming for a while. If they saw Lu Ming coming, they would try to escape. It would be very difficult to kill them before Eugene arrived. Therefore, Lu Ming charged toward the demons who had weaker combat abilities but were extremely talented. For example, Sa Dao was one of them. They had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer or lower, but they could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than them. Their cultivation level was a bit lower, but their potential wasn't any worse than Luo Shi's. Their blood was also very valuable. Even though there weren't many demons like that, there were still a few of them. Lu Ming threw himself at a demon with snow-white wings and threw a punch. When that demon saw Lu Ming coming, he was startled. He hastily retreated, but how could he be as fast as Lu Ming? The surging fist force surged towards the demon like raging waves, forming a crushing force. Facing that fist strength, it was like an ordinary person facing a tsunami. He couldn't escape. Either he would be swept away by the fist strength, or he would be destroyed by it. The devil chosen howled in rage. Flapping his devil wings, he brought forth a berserk energy that was bone-piercing cold, as though it wanted to freeze everything in its path. Actually, the space around him was frozen. He wanted to block Lu Ming's fist strength. Unfortunately, the difference between their fighting strength was too great. It was all in vain. Lin Feng's fist strength crushed everything, and the frozen space broke like a crystal. Then, the fist strength bombarded the demon's body. With a bang, the demon exploded. A drop of demon blood flew out and Lu Ming caught it in his hand. He had obtained another drop of demon blood. He could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him. He was like a genius of the universe. Such people had unlimited potential. They had the opportunity to break through to the Demon King layer. They could exchange it for an incredible amount of merit points. Lu Ming had already obtained 5 drops of demon blood of that level. In the past, Samo Luo's demon blood was worth 60,000 merit points. That kind of demon blood, which could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him, was worth at least twice as much. Die! Roared furiously. At this moment, his eyes were blood-red and filled with intense murderous intent. The demonic saber in his hands slashed violently toward Lu Ming. The scorching aura even burned the space. The saber gleam cut through the air and slashed at Lu Ming's head. Demon sword! Lu Ming shouted. He used the great demon sword technique. With a wave of his hand, a huge demon sword formed and pressed down on Eugene's blade. At the same time, Lu Ming's body exploded with dazzling light. Lu Ming had used all his strength and punched out. A demon sword and a fist strength. One in front and one behind, they collided with Eugene's blade. The demon sword bore the brunt of the impact. It clashed with Eugene's blade. The demon sword shook violently. It lasted for 2 breaths of time before shattering. Then, the blade and the fist strength collided. An even more intense explosion rang out as the terrifying force shattered the void. Even existences at the level of Dong Yuanqing and Bu Yunnan turned grim in the face of such a shockwave. But in the end, Lu Ming's fist strength couldn't block Eugene's blade and was split apart. At the moment of collision, Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. Although he was hit by the remaining blade light, Lu Ming wasn't injured. He just retreated far away with the help of the force. Sure enough, Eugene's battle strength is still higher than mine. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Eugene's combat power was extremely terrifying. Every inch of his muscles was filled with terrifying power, especially his demonic saber. Its power was even more terrifying. At the Divine Emperor realm, he could fight someone who was 5 levels higher than him. He was almost on par with Lu Ming. Eugene's battle strength was no weaker than the fighting god Yuanwen's. His cultivation was 1 level higher than Lu Ming's. Naturally, Lu Ming was no match for him. However, Lu Ming didn't intend to fight Eugene head-on. He retreated and changed direction. He rushed to the top of the mountain. "You want to leave? Die!" Eugene roared and chased after Lu Ming. He remembered that Lu Ming had fought with Luosha last time. At that time, he was no match for Luosha. But in just a few days, Lu Ming could easily kill Luosha and even contend with him. This kind of person was too terrifying. Today, he must get rid of Lu Ming. However, he couldn't catch up with Lu Ming in a short time. Because this mountain was full of rock monsters. Although many of them had been killed by the devil, there were still many left, especially at the top of the mountain, where there were even more rock monsters. Lu Ming's figure flickered a few times and arrived at the mountainside. At this time, several rock monsters roared and rushed towards Lu Ming. These rock monsters were similar in structure to the rocks under his feet. But they had been condensed by the Lord's great divine ability. They became very solid and dense. At the same time, They were extremely hard, even harder than a divine weapon. Moreover, they had different appearances. Some looked like desolate beasts, some looked like humans, and some even looked like devils. Suddenly, 3 rock monsters charged towards Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming's 3 vital points. Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique. His body was always shrouded by a layer of divine wind. He didn't fight these rock monsters head-on. His figure flashed and seemed to produce phantoms. With a few flashes, he perfectly dodged the attacks of the 3 rock monsters. He appeared behind the 3 rock monsters and continued to rush towards the top of the mountain. The higher he went, the more rock monsters there were. However, Lu Ming relied on the great godly wind skill to evade the attacks of these rock monsters one by one. For those that he could not evade, Lu Ming waved his fist to block them. Very soon, he had left dozens of rock monsters behind him. He kept approaching the peak of the mountain. As for Eugene's movement technique, he wasn't as fast as Lu Ming. He relied on the devil saber in his hand. "Get lost!" Eugene roared. He kept slashing with his devil saber, flaying the rock monsters one by one. Swish, swish, swish. One rock monster after another flew out like a rubber ball. Some even flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming had to focus on dodging. As a result, his speed was slower. Eugene attacked crazily. With this move, the distance between him and Lu Ming was slowly closing. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.